It's Saturday morning. It's 9 o'clock. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday Show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Good morning, everybody. I hope you've all got your umbrellas and your raincoats on this week. Gosh, Thursday, I got absolutely drenched. Really caught unawares. It looks like the weather has left us for a little bit, but that doesn't matter because the world of magic continues, and I've got a nice smorgasbord of reviews for you. And first up, we have Stop It by Adrian Vega. Stop it, stop it. This is Adrian's sort of one deck, two-person card prediction routine. It starts with you writing down two predictions, probably on the back of a business card if you are commercially minded, and you hand those to two spectators face down unseen. They then get to cut the deck and give one half to each participant, and they can deal through synchronized one card at a time, and they can stop whenever they like. They both have to stop at the same time, and then they turn over the card they've stopped at, and it is shown to be the cards that match your prediction. You can then spread through the cards and show that not only that, the deck is completely blank. It's a great routine. I'll say that right now. It is completely free. It is self-working, bar a little bit of audience management, I would say, but a tiny little bit, nothing to really worry about. The hardest part is making sure that they don't start going too quickly. They've got to deal exactly at the same time. So one card at a time. Even if they do it slowly, that's better than them trying to do it really fast. And you can really build up a bit of interaction with it. If you've got a couple, you can say who's going to be the one who actually says stop and so on. So you can really present it as a great fun trick. So what you get in here is a deck of cards. The deck is gaffed. It is a rider back deck of cards. I can probably, what can I show you? This is how it would end up. So there you go. You can clearly show they're all blank or the back. So rider back. And it's a really nicely made deck. I have to say it's not a difficult deck to make, but a lot of people get it wrong and make it badly. So I really do think this is a really well made deck of cards. But it is heavily gimmicked, as I say. The first 10 minutes of it's a 45-minute tutorial with Adrian. The first 10 minutes are the setup of the deck. You do need to do a little bit to the deck just to start. I mean, the 10 minutes is probably takes him just as long to describe what you've got to do as it is to do it. And it's a one-time thing. Once you've set it up, you'll be good to go, apart from a small minor reset at the end of every performance. It's always going to be the two same cards, the two same card values as well. So bear that in mind. But they do get to stop. It is their complete free choice. And they do get to cut the cards at the start as well to mark where they start. It's not the most important thing, and that isn't 100% surefire all of the time. But you can always leave it out or ask them to cut again if you want to. Some of you might notice that the method is fairly similar to Adrian's previous release of about 6 years ago, I think, called Scandal, which was his card at any number version. And it's also fairly similar to Mike Rose's The Grail, Christian Grace's Miracle 1. It's not a million miles away from my politically correct, actually. The plot of cards matching or cards being divined in advance through a dealing process, much like card at any number, has been around for donkey's years. The big difference here is that you end up with a blank deck. And I also feel that might be the Achilles heel of this as well. So although the participants have handled the deck, which is great, and in theory that does stop them wanting to grab the cards at the end, because this is you can't inspect this deck, even though they can handle it. That makes sense. They handle it face down. That does really accentuate the fact that the cards are legit. But at the end, when you turn them over and show that they're all blank, the selections have vanished as well, which I think leads to a great bit of suspicion, even though they've handled them. So it's a bit of a balance, really, as to whether or not they're going to want to touch the cards. Some of the cards you can show quite cleanly if you want, and some of them you can hand out to be inspected, but not the deck as a whole. But showing the deck blank at the end really is powerful and really is visual, and is really the highlight of this and what separates it from everything that's gone before. And that's the challenge that Stop It has got, really, is in how to stand out when the plot is such a well-walked path. The differences here is you've got your two participants are doing the dealing, not you and your participant, so that's quite nice, and the blank deck at the end. If you are interested in effects similar to this, I would suggest checking out Copycat by David Parr, which is probably one of my favorite magic tricks, and also Simpatico by David Regal, that involves two people as well, with a nice presentation and theme by David. But Stop It is a really good trick. It's great that the participants are doing absolutely everything. It seems so fair, and also that means you can step back and just enjoy the presentation and give them a little bit of banter. It is very clean during the process, and it's just a joy to perform because you're doing very little. It is self-working, which makes it very easy. That is Stop It by Adrian Vega. Crazy Jokers, just $33.99. Next up, we've got Letters by Jerome Sauloup. Jerome Sauloup, I guess, works for Magic Dream. He's come up with some really corking things in the past, particularly his Switch Cup, which is really clever, and things like that. And this is his take on the Scrabble word prediction. You give your participants a bag of Scrabble tiles. They close their eyes or look away, and they hand you 7 letters, one at a time. You pop them in the tray. You then turn the tray round, and the word that you've managed to make matches prediction. I think this is pure, simple genius. The Scrabble prediction idea isn't new. You might remember Francis Menotti, I think he did it on Penn and Teller, actually had Wordsmith out in about 2015, I believe. That uses a completely different method. I mentioned methods more towards the end of this review, but it felt very flat. It didn't. The final reveal didn't hold up to any real close inspection, and it was a bit of a pain in the bum if you wanted to change the prediction. This is fully customizable to any word, any object, any person's name, anything you like, and it is quick and easy to make that change. It doesn't require a great deal of arts and crafts, or destroying a gimmick, or destroying anything. In fact, there is a bit of an initial setup to start off with, but that's pretty quick, pretty easy, pretty simple, very well explained. And once you've done that, the actual changing of the word and customizing it is very quick and very easy, and you'll know exactly how to do it. You won't have to go back and rewatch the tutorial or anything like that. And what's nice is that you can also, after you've done the move, you can also move a couple of the letters around as well, which is a very nice convincer, and opens up a few perhaps comedic possibilities if you haven't got the word right the first time round. And the actual performance of it is incredibly easy. This tray does 90% of the work for you, I would say. The actual move, the switch, I'm going to call it because that's what it is very clean. Can happen under plain sight, really. I do suggest a bit of misdirection for any move, especially the way I do them. But yeah, no, it's done well out in the open. It's very quick, it's very easy, and it is virtually invisible. And once you've done that move, all it's really left for you to do is to reveal the word somehow. And that's what most of the tutorial is actually about, is running through the various revelation ideas that Jerome has come up with. You can easily come up with your own. They're all much of a muchness. Basically, you've changed the tiles they've given you into a word, into a prediction, and you've just got to present that however you like. The classic throwing out a ball of paper, obviously to choose the participant, but they unravel it and that's got the word on, is great. They run through a whiteboard idea where you rub off the phrase and the letters remaining keep the word. But it can be absolutely anything. It is that's what really sort of sets it out above anything that I've seen before involving Scrabble, is just how quick and easy and customizable it is to anything that you like. So it can be a product if you're doing a trade show, for example, or if perhaps you've got a prop that you want to use later on in your show and you've got it in a paper bag, you could do that. One idea they suggest is to spell marry me, which is probably something hopefully you're only going to be doing the once. But the final idea that they come up with, which for me is probably the most logical, is a book test, or a dictionary, because you do actually get Scrabble specific dictionaries. That makes a lot of sense with Scrabble. Have a word that is very unknown, perhaps, that tells a nice little story. Anyway, there's lots and lots of presentation ideas. Because the letters aren't forced, they can't see what they're handing you. So you can put these in any bag, any clear bag that you like, but they just have to turn away, so they cannot see what letters are being handed to you. Obviously you might get lucky with some of the letters, so you might be able to flash them. That's all covered as well in the little sort of tips section and throughout the tutorial. But because their backs turned, in theory you could be getting up to any sort of mischief. So it really is one to play for a group of people, not necessarily on stage or parlour, but if you've got a table of people, just so they can verify that you're not just switching the letters out in your hand or anything like that. So make sure they can see that your hands are empty. The revelation at the end does bear up to some pretty close scrutiny, because there are genuine tiles on here. Angles aren't too much of an issue. You just can't have anyone standing directly behind you, but they can look at it as close as they like and they will just see 7 tiles sitting on what appears to be a very normal Scrabble tray. I love the fact that the letter selection is super fair. I love the fact that the switch is so easy and also out in the open, and I love the fact that once you've done the switch, the prediction, the revelation, is genuinely 7 tiles on a tray, so that people can look pretty closely and see absolutely nothing wrong with it. Add that to the fact that you can move a letter or two if you like. I think it's just absolutely a brilliant word prediction. That is Letters by Jerome Sauloup, 136.99. And now it's time for the prize draw. Yes, you can win some Oasis tickets if you... Oh, no. Sorry, no, it's not Oasis. It's Blur. Sorry, I know. Pretty bad. But I thought I'd better do it because you'd all be disappointed if I didn't make an Oasis Blur joke, wouldn't you? So all of your names are in the hat. Thank you very much. Oh, I'd better put you back in. Yeah, it was terrific reading your story. So the idea was when you've mistaken something for something else, some of them were rather gross. Some of them, meeting famous people and not recognising them, that's a lot of fun. Getting in the wrong car, I love them all. It was really good to read them. Sorry if I didn't reply to all of them. It's just been one of those busy weeks. But good luck to everybody. Here we go. Drum roll, please. No, okay. And the winner of Blur is Tom Rolfe. Oh, well, congratulations, Tom. I do actually know Tom. I might see you at the Magic Circle and I shall bring you your prize, or if not, let me know which address to send it to, and Congratulations. Well done, Tom. And now it's the turn of Jordan Victoria with my power deck. My power deck is basically a marked deck. That is what it's sold as. That's exactly what it is. It's a marked deck, and the idea that Jordan really wanted to achieve was to have a deck that is marked that you can use as your everyday deck. So you don't care if you're going to do your ambitious card and it's going to be signed. You can do torn and restored. You can rip them up. You can basically just use this deck as if it was your ordinary deck and just be disposable, much like your £349 bicycle cards. They're on maiden back. Don't worry about that. That is not an issue. The difference between maiden back and rider back, I don't think anyone ever notices. If you put a maiden back card in a rider back deck, you've got a lot of trouble trying to find it. What you also get in here, which is quite nice, is the red-blue double backer, which means that you can use it for a lot of tricks, you know, standard tricks that you do with your normal deck, but also there's a couple of routines that Jordan teaches using the marks with those cards as well. It is £8.49. So whether Jordan has achieved the idea of this being your everyday carry, I don't know. It's close. The biggest problem is that the Penguin marked cards are 50p cheaper at £7.99. So it's still not the cheapest marked deck by any means, but it does have some features that are different to your standard marked deck, which makes it a little bit special and very quick and easy to read, even though the markings aren't terribly big. I used the Penguin deck. I do need my glasses now when using the Penguin marked deck. In fact, I can see it better when it's further away, when it's closer now, which is very, very annoying. The markings here are similar size to the Penguin. It is a reader, so you don't have to decipher anything at all. It does basically tell you exactly what the card is. But whereas with the Penguin deck, they've got more marks in several places, so that if the card gets covered, or if you want to read it from a spread, for example, you can always see at least one of the marks. Jordan's gone completely the other way, which is a very, very creative idea, and it's only marked in one place, and it's only on the one side of the deck. So depending on how the card's orientated, you would either see the marks or you won't see the marks. Now, you might suggest that is also, that makes it harder, should anyone be suspicious that the deck is marked, that they can see the marks. But that is possibly one minor reason. The actual point is that what it means is that if you spread the deck, if you reverse one of the cards, the chosen card is reversed. When you spread the deck, instead of having to read all of the markings to find the card that they've chosen, you've only got to see the card, the only mark that you can see, and read that. So it's very, very quick, if that makes any sense. If I could explain it, it would be a bit like if the deck was, you know, you had a completely blank deck, but only one card was printed. You'd immediately see it, you'd immediately read it. You don't have to run through all of the other cards to find their selection. I hope that sort of explains it. It does obviously have a drawback that the cards can get messed up and reversed and disorientated if your spectator does something funny or the cards get dropped, but I don't think that is really going to happen. Most of the time when you give the cards to spectator, they'll do an overhand shuffle. Even if they can't shuffle very well, they'll just scrunch the cards in together. Very rarely is anyone going to do any sort of shuffle that disorientates the cards or rotates them. But that rotation of the card is pretty much the secret to using this deck faster than any other marked deck. Not that it's got big markings or anything else, but you're only looking for the one mark and then reading that mark, which is very, very clever. A lot of that means obviously that you need to be spreading them on a table. So almost all of the tricks really involve using a table spread, and Jordan teaches a really nice control from a table spread to get their chosen card either to the top or the bottom of the deck, or in fact any number of cards from the top or the bottom of the deck. He also teaches a lot of ways of rotating the selection, whether it's how you display it, whether it's how you put it down on the table. Not all of those you require a table, and the table is just for the spread to see the markings, or not see the markings, in fact. The tutorial is a whopping 1 hour, 45 minutes. I'd say 10 minutes is explaining the deck, another 10 minutes perhaps explaining rotating the card and his little spread sleight for the card control, which will take practice, by the way. But then you get Jordan's routines, and you get 16 routines with this, I think, possibly more. I think there's a few, you know, routine 3.4 going on with slight variations, and they are, a lot of them are, you know, your basic, you know, how to find a card, there's your card idea. But he's got a nice little Chicago opener one. I'm using the double backer, which is great because you can name the card before you turn it over. He's got a little Out of This World, which is really well taught and well worth knowing. And so some of these aren't using the markings as such, but more the asymmetrical one-way design of the deck. So you get almost two decks in one, thinking about it here. You've got a marked deck, but you've got a one-way deck, and the routines sometimes only use one of those, sometimes they use both in a very clever manner. And one or two of the routines aren't necessarily specific to this deck per se. If you've got another marked deck, if you've got a one-way deck, you could probably do a couple of those routines. But it is a beautiful deck, and it is really, really versatile, due to that principle of only having the markings in one spot, which I really do like. It is a marked deck with a difference. There is perhaps a little bit of a compromise with the fact that the markings could be covered up at a time that you need them, but you just wouldn't do a routine that required having cards put on top or anything covered. And also the markings aren't the biggest in the world, but because of the asymmetrical thing, you can easily locate their card, get it to the top, and then you've got a little bit more time to check the marking. I think it's a great deck with some unique characteristics to enable some unique effects to be done with it. Whether or not it's going to be my everyday carry of deck of cards, I'm not sure. Not because of the maiden back, not because of the quality of the deck, but it's still £8.49. That might be still a little bit rich for me. The teaching is absolutely excellent, and really, really clear. It is really well explained, and there are gonna be definitely 3 or 4 effects that you are gonna want to perform. That is my power deck by Jordan Victoria, £8.49. Next up, it's Wonder Orchestra 2.0 by King of Magic. This is a nifty little device that is a lot of fun to play with. How magical it is, you'll have to decide. The idea is that you could do something like drawing a piano keyboard, and then when you press the keys, they will in fact play, and indeed you can play a whole song if you want to. It is a super simple device. This is the piano stroke violin version. There was a 1.0 or just Wonder Orchestra, I guess, and that had batteries and things. This is now fully rechargeable, doesn't take long to charge. It's very tiny. I can't really show you the gimmick, but it is easy to hold in your hand, and it also comes, you can actually put a pull on it as well if you want to show your hands empty at the end without any sort of ditching of the gimmick. The other big difference is the button that it uses, which is very prominent now, very easy to press. You won't have any problems. It's all about the timing, really, this trick. I'm not musical, so I would struggle to play one of the whole songs. Probably Happy Birthday I can manage, but I can certainly do the single notes and things like that straight away. So just a little bit of timing, a little bit of practice. You're not going to have to learn to play the song, I suppose, but you need to know the rhythm of it. The actual control is very simple. It's all operated by one switch where you can choose the violin or the piano, and then the songs are on a loop. So you have to go in a sequence, which is slightly limiting. If you wanted to play Happy Birthday, for example, you've got to sort of skip through to that. So you have to remember the order. There's no indication of what the next song's going to be. You'll have to remember that order, or remember the number of clicks it takes to get to that song. You can't skip through quick enough not to hear the first note or half a note of each song, unfortunately. So you do have to go away and make sure you're set up for the right song. It's one of those rare tricks that actually use sound and a little bit of visuals as well, and I really appreciate that. There's not sort of enough audible magic in the world. It might have been nice if it was recordable, so you could add your own songs to personalize it for events or people, or to a certain presentation. It might have been nice if you could select the song a bit easier. But all of that would have come out with the price of perhaps needing two separate gimmicks or a slightly bigger gimmick. So that was a bit of a compromise. I kind of think they've gone in the right direction of keeping it nice, simple and small. It's flesh colored as well. It does hide perfectly in your hands. It is very close to invisible when you're making the music, simply because of the gestures that you need, and it's small enough to carry around, so you can really do it impromptu at a moment's notice when you just fancy having a bit of fun and giving someone a giggle. That is Wonder Orchestra 2.0, $33.99. And finally, it's The Stone by AB and DooSung Hwang. This is proving really popular. It's a very simple trick, elevated courtesy really of the props, I guess, and a little bit of the emotion that can be created with the presentation. You give your participant something to keep safe or to hold in their hand, and you then show them a little bag that's got some instructions in and some stones. You then run through all of the instructions through the envelope, putting them out one at a time. And in the process, they get to choose which stone is left on the table. They then hold that in their hand. They open both their hands and the stones are the same. It's a great simple plot. They play on the idea of whether or not you read the manual when you first get something, or whether you just rush in and play with it. It is really well put together. You get all of the stones. These are, I mean, they're not gems or precious crystals or anything like that, but they've got a nice weight to them. They're really tactile. They're very nice. Which stone ends up being your prediction, whether it's the green one, black one or white one, is completely random. But they are really nice props, and there's something about the fact that they've chosen to do this with stones, I guess because of the crystals and people feeling that they've got lucky objects. It really does bring this routine to life. The idea and the method isn't particularly new. It's a very old method, as I'm sure, and it reminds me very much of a card trick by J.K. Hartman in his book Trickery Treats, Trickery Treats, which came out in 1999, and there's a card trick in here called the elimination process, where you go through a similar thing as this, but to divine a card prediction rather than a stone. And I think taking it away from a card trick is really clever. And like I say, the use of stones, I think, is probably one of the best. It uses these envelopes, which are completely normal and regular. They're made of craft paper. So they're not Tyvek or anything, but they're pretty strong. They're pretty sturdy. They're made of craft paper. Obviously, if anything happens to these, you could probably replace them with something similar. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. And then you get your predictions as well, or your manual instructions rather, which tells you what you want the participant to do. These are also on craft paper. I'm sure to magicians the method is quite transparent, but to the layperson, especially when they're playing along, and if you're creating the right atmosphere, it does seem completely fair. You want to be hands off. You want it to sound like you're just reading the instructions out, and each step of the elimination process or the selection process is out of your control. You don't end up completely clean. So although the envelopes are legit and can be inspected, and in fact you show them empty and everything else once you've pulled out the instruction card, only one of the manual cards can actually be seen properly. It's quite nice you do that the first time round. There's a nice little subtlety of bringing it out the wrong way round to start off with, which is really good idea. So you do have to sort of put those away. They can't be inspected, and I wonder personally whether or not that's perhaps the wrong way round. I think it would make more sense to have the envelopes very simply gimmicked, because it makes more sense to sort of take the instructions out, put the envelope away, and then read the instructions, or give the instructions to someone else to read, perhaps. So that would be the only difference I would make with it. But really, it's all about presentation, trying to create some emotion and mystery, and you taking a step back and making it appear that everything is all been done via the manual that is pre-written and cannot be changed. The tutorial is subtitled, but it is very, very clear, and they run through all of the options, all of the handlings, how to have the right attitude with the envelopes, and really how to present it properly. I really do think the tutorial is very good for such a simple trick as well, that is more or less self-working, and the props are super well made. They haven't seemed to skimp on the stones. You get the nice cloth bag as well, so everything comes from this bag, and the moment when both hands are opened to show the matching stones is a great bit of choreography. That is The Stone by AB and DooSung Hwang, $29.99.
This show is awful, terrible, disgusting. See you next week, of course.
And that's it for this week, I'm afraid. I do hope the weather clears up and you get a chance to grab some magic, go out and have some fun with the best hobby in the world. Goodbye.